What's up, everybody? Welcome to the CanesInSight Daily podcast powered by Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. I'm excited. We're doing two shows today. Doing the morning show. We'll do the afternoon show with Mike Ryan. Wanted to bring in a very special guest for this morning show as we prepare for USF. We had to talk to somebody who knows more about both programs collectively, UM and USF, than anybody. Tito Benach, you may remember, one of the OGs of CanesInSight, young still, but he was in high school out there riding for us. So we'll talk to him, and went to USF, very close to that program. So he knows both squads well. He's going to have some unique perspective. We talked to him last year. I thought he laid it out pretty much how it played out. So fired up to bring him on. Also, talk to my man, the Orchid Man, a little later. More inside scoop on the team, and we'll just keep it rolling with the chat. Again, two shows today. Got Mike Ryan still coming on this afternoon, but we're doing two-a-days. Our two-a-days don't stop. They're not banned by the NCAA. We can go as much as we want. First, I want to talk about some folks that are definitely putting in that work. That is Anijar and Levine Accident Attorneys. If you or someone you care about has been injured in an accident, you could be entitled to significant compensation. Dial 1-800-747-FREE, 1-800-747-3733. Take back control of your life with Anijar and Levine. Pete, hop in.
Good morning, D. We're giving a Tito show a full show. We're giving it credit for a full show. We're not going like half a show on a Tito show.
We got Orchid Man coming, so that fills it up.
You know what, Orchid Man certainly makes it a full show. If it was just Tito, then I don't know. But I will say, man, I'm excited to talk to Tito. He did a great job with us last year. He's a closet Canes fan. I'll say it for him before we bring him on. So he, like you said, he has a good perspective of what Miami has going on as well. But yeah, man, should be a fun one. We had Amon's point of view yesterday. So if you guys haven't checked that out, had Amon Richards on yesterday, which we're doing every Tuesday this year. Mo Hussein says, "Pack the rock, let's go." Appreciate you as
shout
always.
Out to you, Mo. You're always trying to push this. I want to know what you think about the electric juice slogan that we're seeing on social media. I like it. I think it's cool. It's funny. No, not too serious. But Mo, let me know on the electric juice, because I know you're the one trying to get the rock packed every single week here, which we do need to show up to this game and be loud, man. Huge advantage. Anyways, go ahead, Pete.
But yeah, just excited for this one this weekend. So we ready to bring the voice of USF athletics in right now.
First, real quick shout out from you, Canes fan, you all the way from Battambang, Cambodia, just to hear Tito Benach. Battambang, Cambodia. Look at that. For CBS Sports HQ producer, USF expert, semi-expert, Tomas Tito Benach. Hop in here.
What's up, guys? Good to see you all.
You look dry and ready to go this morning, man. Let me tell you.
You're CBS, man. I think you'd be like clean shaven, hair comb to the side, wearing a suit. Like you're the mainstream. What's going on?
No. Fade train, maybe. I'm a couple weeks removed from my most recent haircut, but no suit, not necessary. I stay active, I stay ready, so I didn't got to get ready. Excited about this weekend, man. I think it's going to be a fun game.
For those who don't know, when we started this website back in 2000, I started in 2011. Around 2012, I realized I needed some writers. There were these two young bucks at Cane Insider, and then I guess on Rivals too, Tito Benach and Peter Ariz. So I try to get Tito first, and then Pete's like, "No, man, you got to go with the older dog." So he's you guys both slid in there. You guys were the LeBron and Wade of the early days, trying to carry this organization. And look where
Tito was Mario Chalmers.
Are you still Tito, or are you Tomas now? What's the deal?
No, Tito, always Tito.
Even in CBS, you're Tito?
Yeah. People don't know my real formal name. I try to keep it that way, D. You know, I'm trying to stay off the streets. But yeah, no, I go by Tito a lot.
All right, man. Well, Tito, what's going on? So listen, I'll give it to Pete here, because I know he's got some. He's trying to roast you for 30 minutes straight. I know he's got a material. I see his face already. But real quick, last year I think you called it pretty good. What's the vibe of USF right now and the USF fan base heading into this Miami game?
Excited, completely excited. It finally feels like the program has taken that step forward that they've been talking about for a while. I think that Last year was a little bit of a difficult year, mainly just because 5 games in, you lose Byron Brown for the season. And I think once you lose your starting quarterback for the season, it kind of derails a lot of expectations. Despite that, they were able to go 7-6, win a bowl game. They went to the Hawaii Bowl. And so I think, a lot of credit to Alex Golish. He has been really, really committed to really revamping this roster. And I think it's finally at a point where he feels comfortable on both sides of the ball. Obviously, I think, it starts with that win against Boise State. Just a punch in the mouth. I mean, that game started off slow. And I think as USF fans, they're pretty familiar with those types of starts, and it can be a pretty concerning sight. But they rallied from the second quarter on. I mean, 34 unanswered. It was an incredible win for USF. And then the Florida win. I mean, that was huge. That was a game where things weren't really working the way USF probably anticipated, at least offensively. But the defense really, really held it together. I thought that was an impressive part. And I think, obviously we can get into the details of that, but I thought that was a real sign of, hey, this is a program that feels like it's ready to compete, within the top 25 on a regular basis. And there was a long time where those ranked matchups always kind of felt like either, hey, hang around for a half and then let it slip away in the second half, or just get, completely railroaded. So that was an impressive win. I thought, the biggest part about it was just the defense really kind of held things together for the Bulls. But yeah, there's a lot of excitement right now. They feel like they're finally taking that next step that we talked about.
Yeah, you talk about the defense, and that was going to be my question to you, because just it feels like, at least after last season, or even last season and heading into this season, Golesh has always been thought of as an offensive guy. You hear about the up tempo. That was something that we saw firsthand that gave Miami issues in that first half last year. But it seems like the defense has, looking back at some of these scores, Miami obviously did what they did. They did that to everyone, but Tulane put up 45 on them early in the year. Bama being Bama, but Bama pulled away there in that second half. Yeah. The defense wasn't awful last year, but it definitely seems like they've taken the next step. As someone who doesn't follow the ins and outs of the roster for USF, did they go to the portal heavily? I mean, what's been the difference there?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. I'll go ahead and tell you that I thought last year USF's defense was pretty bad. It was, I think year 3 for Todd Orlando, or year 4, and it still wasn't working the way I think a lot of people anticipated. This was a unit that was 130th in yards per play allowed, and then in the 120s in yards per pass attempt allowed. So it really, really struggled just to get any sort of momentum in terms of stopping the other defenses. It put a lot of pressure on that offense, an offense that, after 5 games in, did not have Byron Brown. I think, to your point though, Pete, I think there definitely was a lot of attention given to stacking the roster through the portal with defensive line guys. They went out and got a lot of players that I think have really beefed up the defensive line. Devin Lee is one that kind of sticks out to me, number 99. He was a guy that, if you will go back and watch that UF tape, he was really, really impressive. I think, it's definitely an impressive part, not only in the front 6, but the secondary. USF has put a lot of resources there into getting athletes that can cover in space. Now, is it, top tier NFL draft guys? I think there's some bodies there, but I don't know if it's, enough to maybe be, first 2 days of the NFL draft, but they have improved in that aspect. And that was a concern last year. Just, consistent penalties, losing assignments. And I think rewatching the game against Florida, it was a lot of disciplined football. And that's not something that USF has been able to say for a while on the defensive side of the ball. Guys getting into the backfield, UF kept trying to run through the tackles, and that really wasn't working. You can look back on a lot of plays, and there's one in specific where I think UF tries calling a run up the middle and having one of the receivers block one of the USF defensive tackles. And so it's been a really, really impressive job thus far through 2 games for Todd Orlando. I think the front 6 has done a great job. I think the linebacking group was really, really good against Florida. Jalen Schuler had a great game. Mac Harris, those guys, they played really, really well. So I think defensively, it's been an improvement. I'm curious to see how it goes against, obviously Miami the playmakers that they have. But I think in terms of the talent in that room on the defensive side of the ball, it's improved.
So Tito, just going back to the defense here, because I think back to USF. I mean, I'm paranoid on every game. Turnovers, team getting confidence, the crowd kind of turning. This is college football. A lot of things happen. One thing that I've not been able to kind of visualize after being there last year in Tampa is how USF is going to do work up front against Miami's offensive line. This was the game where Cam Ward was calling out gaps before we ran them. The pass rush didn't look particularly good against UF, although, lightweight can move. So how, if USF is able to win this game and get pressure on Beck and stop the run enough to win, what needs to happen? How does it look to beat Miami's offensive line?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think this is probably, I think I said this last year, but I agree again, but this is going to be the best offensive line USF probably faces all year. I think the rest of the schedule lets up for that. It's going to downgrade in terms of offensive line they face after this. So I'm very curious to see how Todd Orlando tries to scheme that up, just because I think, to your point, USF, I don't think, has the luxury of sending 3 or 4 and expecting to get pressure. They're going to have to send 5 or 6 and hope that, Beck miscalculates a read. There's a missed assignment along the offensive line. But I think otherwise, this is going to be a game where I'm curious what Todd Orlando chooses to turn off. Does he try to force Beck into being the passer that, people want to see him be? Or does he kind of, maybe take a lot more lax approach and try and contain the run? Look, I thought that, one thing that I was really kind of taken away by was Florida, I think, had less than 2 to 3 plays go for 10 yards on the ground. A lot of the big bunch plays were through the air. And I think that's where USF found their success last week, which was, hey, we're going to try to make DJ Lagway beat us. And unfortunately, he really couldn't. And there can be, commentary on whether that's Lagway, that's Napier, or if it's USF. But I do think that it's going to be interesting, because I think for USF, you have to crowd the box. You cannot let Miami establish that physical presence up front with guys like CeCe Malagoa, obviously, Brockmeyer, Inez Cooper. If they start running all over you, this is going to be a really tough game for USF, especially with just ball control, right? I think Mario is well aware that USF wants to be holding the ball in this game, and the more they have the ball, the better likelihood they have of winning. So I think for Miami, it probably starts with, hey, let's try to establish that physical run. And I think for USF, you have to crowd the box. You cannot give Mario Cristobal a light boxing, because he's going to take it and he's going to want to run with it. I'm
laughing because WG in the comments says that I want to laugh at the foolishness that you're saying. I was laughing because I think we had something similar last year. But D, did you catch in the beginning where Tito agreed with himself from something he said last year?
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
But he was just like, I agree again, something that he said. That's what I was laughing at. I agree with what you're saying. I don't think they're going to be able to create pressure, and I don't think they expect to. I think they're going to have to get creative there and hope that, look, you obviously weren't going to see anything against Bethune that was going to get you ready for this. But maybe if you're USF, you say, hey, Notre Dame didn't really have much success getting home to Beck one time, but it's still early enough in the season that you could say, maybe we can catch them off guard. And I think if you're Miami, that's what having a veteran center in James Brockermeyer does for you in terms of being prepared for stuff like that. Tito, with Byron Brown, I've said it, a few times this week, but with him, we understand the running, but I just don't see the vertical passing game consistently with him. He hit a few against Florida, but it looked more like, breakdowns just at the catch point, guys winning, right? What do you see in terms of the downfield passing game? Is this going to be a horizontal attack for the most part?
Yeah, I think it's I think it's two things. I think number one, I think where Golish is with Byron Brown now in this offense is there's a confidence level in that Byron is going to make the correct decision. I think in the past, Byram was a little bit too juiced up, kind of wanting to take off on every single play. However, I think that he's improved in the sense of he understands a little bit more of like, hey, I got to take care of my body at least a little bit more. And so he can't take off on every single play. Now, in terms of the downfield passing aspect, I agree. It hasn't been as prevalent as probably USF would like. I think, things got carried away in the Boise State game where, he was making plays with his legs and they kind of felt like, hey, look, we have this 24-7 lead. One of those touchdowns was a fake punt. But I think, when you have that type of lead against a Boise State, you say, hey, let's take the air out of the ball. Let's keep running it. Last week, you're right. I think, there's still times with Byron Brown where he is inaccurate. And there was a couple throws last week where he has a clean pocket, he has an open receiver, and just for whatever reason, the throw kind of darts to the floor. I still feel, though, that if you watch that tape, and you guys can disagree with me on this, but I think Brown was the more impressive quarterback in that game last week. Like, I don't think there was anything that Lagway did other than hitting maybe, 120-yard slant that really was impressive in the sense of now downfield passing. Now, does that mean that Brown is going to come into Miami and absolutely dice him up with throws and runs? I don't know. That remains to be seen. But I do think that for USF, a big emphasis is the speed that they play with, right? Getting to the ball, setting up the play quickly, and hiking the ball fast. They want to operate with that warp speed to get defenses tired. That worked against Boise State. The downfield passing does need to improve. I think they're kind of, like you said, they're kind of operating on a horizontal playing field right now with the screens, short passes. They kind of want to let the receivers try to make plays in space with guys like Chaz Nimrod and Keshawn Singleton. But I think for now, USF is content with, hey, look, we will work down the field methodically to a degree, but they want to try and find those deep gashes. But I think the concern with that is, look, if you can't hit deep throws consistently and you're consistently aiming for them, you're just going to have a lot of 3-and-outs. So I think they're fine with, trying to establish the run game, having these 4 or 5 yard outs and slants that they can get their guys in space. And hopefully maybe one of them like Keshawn Singleton, Chaz Nimrod, and Jaycon Corbin can make a play.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you, like who should, in terms of the playmakers, who to watch there.
I think for now it's Chaz Nimrod. I thought he's been kind of one of the favorite receivers thus far. Keshawn Singleton is another big guy that I think, oh my God, Danny Boycane is in the chat. Holy hell, that is incredible. But Keshawn Singleton's another big time player. I think he's someone that got a lot, good size. And they do have a transfer from Stanford, Media Rubin, who I think he's someone that they've been trying to get working into the system. It hasn't flashed yet, but he's someone that they're trying to operate with in the receiving core. And then the running backs. I think obviously Alvin Isaac was the guy who made the play last week in the 2-minute drill against Florida. Screen pass, breaks a couple tackles, gets USF into Florida Gator territory. And then their big bruising back is Cartevious Norton. So he's the one that they're going to use, try to on short yardage situations and try to get those tough yards. But I think for USF, I don't think it's one big specific guy. I think it's more of a lot of different, people that can affect you, maybe a receiver by committee situation. But yeah, I think those are the guys that kind of stand out to me.
Tito, prediction on this game, what you think is going to happen, and then how does it play out if USF wins? What's the scenario where USF wins? So 2 separate questions, your actual prediction, and then how USF could win this.
Yes, I'll be honest. I think last year going into it, I was a little bit more skeptical about USF's opportunity to find a way to win, mainly because of the defense. I just felt like, if you don't have the bodies up front against Miami and you don't have a reliable secondary, it's going to be a tough operation to try and stick with this unit. I think this year it's closer. I think USF could make this a really close game. I think last year heading into halftime, USF felt confident. If I had to pick an official prediction, I'm leaning towards a Miami close win. I think Miami ekes one out maybe here, something along the lines of like 34-27. Whether that maybe a garbage time touchdown that makes it look close. if USF is to win, I think the key thing is winning the turnover battle. In the 3 games that they've played thus far, they have won the turnover battle and they haven't coughed the ball up. I think that's a big, big factor of importance. In games like this, especially on the road, you need to protect the football. If USF plays clean football and can maybe get Beck to come up with an interception or there's a fumble from somebody else, it gives them hope and it gives them life. And like I said earlier, I think if USF has the football in their hands, they feel confident that they can take control of this game.
Tito, last thing, USF's program in general, where do you see it headed? So, like, we know that Golesh is going to be a hot name if you guys make the playoffs, if things continue. Just like, where do you see the direction of the USF program right now? Not just this season, but into the future. You've heard Golesh talk about, that we have this many students. Our location is here. Obviously, I don't know if he's there for long term. Maybe he is, but what's the future of this program, at least from where you sit right now?
Yeah, I think it's definitely interesting, right? I was having this conversation with someone recently, but it didn't seem like it before the year, but this is kind of an all-in chips are in the middle of the table type of year for USF, right? You've gotten 2 ranked wins. You have an opportunity to play Miami, and if you beat them, that's 3 ranked wins, including 2 over, teams that were considered like playoff locks prior to the season starting in Florida and Miami.
I don't know about that playoff lock.
Playoff lock, yeah.
Not to us, but maybe to some other people.
I don't know about Miami's a playoff lock either, but
wow.
anyway.
Okay. I don't know. I think I'm confident. I'll say this. I think for USF, chips are in the middle this year, right? I think this is the year where you got Byron Brown for one last season. You now feel confident that you can handle that conference schedule based off how these 2 games have gone. If you can keep bodies healthy, there's no reason you shouldn't be playing for the conference championship. That obviously gets you an opportunity to play into the playoff. Now, for even further down the road, I think, look, USF has maintained, and they just made a new athletic director hire in Rob Higgins yesterday. They have maintained that when the next round of conference realignment comes around, they are going to be in multiple conversations. They will be in conversations maybe with the Big 12. There was a conversation earlier this year before the season started that the Pac-12 was considering wrapping a bunch of schools together and making just one large kind of national conference, if that makes any sense. And then we'll see what happens with the ACC, right? I don't think the ACC is in a position right now where they're going to be super eager to add a school like USF. But in 2-3 years, when these media deals kind of start renewing, it'll be interesting to see who USF is in conversation with. I think if USF does make the run this year that they expect to, they probably do end up losing Golesh. But I think that is the life of a non-Power 4 school, right? Like, you got to be able to, make your money back on that buyout, and eventually, hopefully you land on another good hire that's maybe off the tree of the Golesh coaching tree. That way the system stays the same, or it's someone who's young and hungry. I think that's the biggest thing. I think where they went wrong was when they hired Charlie Strong. They hired a guy who just didn't have the motivation anymore. And whereas Golesh was someone that wanted to prove his name. So I think that's kind of the standpoint, and I'm hoping that they can do it, man. I think they do deserve to be in a big conference.
All right, Tito Tomas Tito Benach, CBS.
He already told you he doesn't want his. He already told you he doesn't want his government name out there, man. Let's
Don't Google it. You might see some serious offenses under Thomas Benach. But no, man, Tito, appreciate you. You're the man. Are you going to see you out there?
No, I will be working, but I will be donning a very vague color to not have any allegiances. So, no, I won't be there. But hoping you guys have a good time, and I will be out at the next game. I'll be out at Florida. So,
all right, man. We'll see you out there.
Thank you, Tito. Appreciate it.
Crazy, guys.
Big conference conversations. Get out of here, Tito.
We
talking to Mickey Mouse, man. They're gonna have conversations with Mickey Mouse and Walt Disney, man. Golly,
we got to pay our respects. You can try him after the game. Real quick before we bring in one of the top insiders on Miami football, my guy, the Orchid Man, I want to talk about Cash Kick, the app that is one of the hottest apps in America right now. Top 5. You're talking about 1.5 million plus downloads, over 4.5 on the average rating. you like to play games on your phone, or you're just trying to find something to do during the day, dropping a kid off at school, you waited for something, whatever it is, man, get these games on your phone. Download the app of Cashkick. That's Kashkick. All the games are right here, so it's easy to scroll through and find exactly what you like to play. There's a million different options. And then once you find that game, you can earn extra money on the side by playing. It's all legit. This is, again, one of the top 5 apps in the lifestyle category on Apple and in the App Store. So all legit. Make some extra money on the side while playing games, feeding your competitive urges while you're just waiting around, trying to kill some time, man. That is cashkick.com. Be productive with your downtime. Have fun. KASHKICK.com. Cash Kick. Also,
You should say feeding your competitive urges and feeding your family.
You can feed your family right here at a place called Duffy's, the home of the Miami Hurricanes, as you can see right there from the sign, right there in West Miami, right at the corner of Coral Gables, next to Pito. Pete's officially, I don't give your address away, but you're on the expensive side of town, but right next to Duffy's Tavern, and a classic institution, but updated for modern times. They take credit cards now. The menu's been updated with all the old classics still there. The bar is fully loaded, but this is not a dingy bar. You could take your family. In fact, you're supposed to have your family there. It's a family atmosphere. You got kind of high school reunions. Guys have been knowing each other for 40 years, showing up in big groups, hanging out, drinking, having a good time. This is the neighborhood bar of this area, which is a pretty big area, man, from all the way out west to Coral Gables, down south. Duffy's Tavern. It's for everybody. Duffy's Tavern, not Duffy's. If you don't put the tavern in, you're going to get some fake chains. Duffy's Tavern, the home of the Miami Hurricanes. All right. Let's bring in an honored guest here. He's been requested. We did an Instagram post, reveals predictions. They were saying, what about Orchid Man's prediction? Because they know he's plugged in directly to the football and baseball programs. Our guy, Jose Perez, the Orchid Man. How we doing? Nice and vertical.
Yeah, I got it. Morning, D. Morning, Pete.
So,
how you doing? Good
Jose,
morning,
man. I thought of you on Sunday when Cam Ward was having trouble with some drops, and your guy Calvin was smashing the guardrail, all upset, all frustrated, man. I thought our boy looked pretty good in his debut. Just kind of didn't get that much help.
I mean, they were terrible catching the ball. I mean, I would tell you that Denver is a pretty solid defense. Tough environment to go into Denver to try to win it, and he had a chance. I mean, he put 2 balls. One. I think he led the rookie a little bit. That one's excusable.
Yep.
But Ridley's was you're not a 30-year-old receiver. You can't be dropping those passes. Come on.
And for people who don't know, just talk about Calvin because he was the one that went viral, and his wife Patrice. I mean, these guys were at the Notre Dame game. They are like, you talk about loving Miami and supporting Miami and being good people. I mean, we're not just saying this because this guy is here. He's not even here anymore. This is just the truth. I mean, how awesome are Calvin and Patrice, Cam, and his whole family unit there for Cam Ward?
It's an amazing family, and Nyla, his girlfriend too, in the background. She's amazing. I had never seen Calvin, to be honest with you, so animated before. I mean, I was surprised to see him, actually do something, because they are the most even keel, in the background, not trying to make a splash at all. So he wanted it for Cam, because that would have been a hell of a start for him. I think overall he did great. I mean, listen, it's game 1. I was looking at some tweets. Some of these NFL guys thought he was going to be just fine.
Yeah, I saw Orlovsky was saying that they watched the film, or he watched the film, and the film was outstanding. A lot of the guys that just sat down and watched it afterwards, and they saw the throws from the coach's view, or the eye in the sky. I mean, this guy was out there.
That's what I'm talking about, Orlovsky. He that guy's pretty legit. Guys, can we just veer off for a second?
Veer.
And talk about, we're on a Canes chat, but to see the complete opposites of football in this town right now between the Miami Dolphins and
Oof.
the Miami Hurricanes.
Well,
I mean, I've never been more embarrassed to be a Miami Dolphin fan in my whole entire life. I've said this to my friends and my family for a long time. When they hired Mike McDaniel, I thought, how is this guy gonna ever be able to motivate these players? And it flips. That guy becomes a savant for a year and a half, and then now, exactly what I thought is happening. I mean, there's no way that guy has the ability to control, and motivate that those players. And on the flip side, we have a university with an incredible administration, incredible coach, incredible staff, motivating these players with the right culture, with the right players, recruiting the right type of player. I mean, it can't be more opposite uh, in this town at the moment. And I think people need to really start, waking up and getting behind our Canes, because we're coming. And I don't say that in a Dion fashion.
Yeah,
I
and
really
you
do.
no, well, you make a good point. How you point out the administration. It's not just the head coach. It's the entire organization, because just kind of having somewhat of a sense of what's happening with the Dolphins. It's not a blame on one person. What's happening there right now. It's taken years to get to this point, and it's going to have to be a complete teardown, right? Which you got to have strong leadership. And in a sense, what Miami did with bringing Mario in and kind of his idea and vision for what was happening here wasn't a teardown, but you needed strong people in place around that. And obviously Mario believed that the pieces were in place for his vision to be played out, as we're, in the middle of still this process, but getting closer to where I think he wants it to be, as he's talked about. So yeah, everyone from the support staff, recruiting side, like it's we can always nitpick certain things as fans from the outside, but it takes the entire village for this thing to work.
Orchid Man, let me say one thing on this. You said it's something that was I hadn't thought about it this way, but just comparing and contrasting the leadership, not just the organization. If you look at Mario and McDaniel, McDaniel, he has that whole kind of like, I'm a nerd vibe, whatever. I think he makes it a gimmick a little bit. He kind of plays to the cameras with it. But when things are going not so good, is he going to be able to stand up and kind of control the room in the same way that someone like Mario, who played the game and has a physical presence? I don't know if that's,
he clearly lost the team last year at the end of the year. They talked a big game, and then they've come in here, and they've continued with the same, issues. But it starts with Stephen Ross as the owner. When you're at my age now, then you've watched football since you were 7 years old, and you've watched the Dolphins, and what a proud franchise that once was. And you had an owner like Huizenga, which was, at the very least, Huizenga was a good owner, and he didn't play to the camera. When Stephen Ross bought the team, I knew it was over for the Dolphins and for this franchise when he started handing out 1% ownerships to Gloria Stefan and Venus Williams and Mark Anthony, things that don't pertain to winning football games. And that's the issue with the Dolphins. It starts at the top with the ownership. It rolls down to a general manager who has been there for 10 years and has not won a playoff game, still has a worse roster today than he did probably 10 years ago. And it's just it's a joke. On the flip side, you have a guy who's come in here 4 years ago with a roster that everyone knows could not compete at a high level. Players on the O line and the D line that were not ready to compete against the Ohio States and the Alabamas and the Georgias, realizes what he has to do, has gone to work every day since then to do nothing but improve this university and this team. And the proof's in the pudding.
Shout out to a Bangkok.
I was going to
Vice.
say the only
Appreciate your
positive.
support. Oh, sorry. I just want to say shout out to Bangkok.
I was going to say the
Vice
only
for support here. He's saying the only way we lose this game or any game I fear this year is Mario's time management.
I don't know if I have a little delay here or something, but
yeah, you got a little delay. It's okay. He's saying Bangkok Vice saying the only way to lose this game or any game this year I fear is Mario's time management or deflating the football with a lead. Go Canes. Appreciate you for the super chat, Bangkok Vice. Mario put 50 on these guys last year, so I think we can really ramp it up against them and have in the past, but we'll see how it goes. I'll tell you one thing, Orchid Man, the difference, I'll give it to Pete here because I know he's on a delay. Big difference here on the field up front, the Dolphins and the Hurricanes. I'm sure Tua kind of wishes he had Miami's offensive line, which Carson Beck has, because it is night and day just at that level what we do on the up front and what the Dolphins are doing up front.
Mario has the right, blueprint. He has the right mindset. You win in the trenches. You win in the trenches. When you have to run the ball, you run the ball. When you have to get a sack, you get a sack. Yes. Can you have a perfect team year in and year out? It's a virtual impossibility in this day and age with the portal. But you have to win when in the trenches, and that's where he has made the biggest difference on this team over the last couple of years. When you see CC and you see somebody like Samson come along the way he's come along, the way they've developed Samson, the way they didn't give up on Samson, that creates depth on that line. You saw Buchanan come in and play some serious snaps. SJ come in and play some serious snaps. So you have a solid offensive line today, but as you look at the 26, I feel good right now. Already looking into 26. Yeah. Do you think he's going to be? You think he's done? You think he's done recruiting the 26 class, and you don't think he's going to bring in another D lineman, another couple of another O lineman here before it's all said and done? He is. So when you see this continuous improvement, it's makes you feel good.
Orchid Man, I know. So Pete, you're back live.
Yeah. Well, I had one thing I was going to say is with Ross, the one positive I'll give him is that the stadium has been, as a couple people have said in the comments, like if we're not going to have an on-campus stadium, as we know is never going to happen here, at least we have a world-class facility. There's things that aren't perfect, but it's you can give him credit for that. And then there was a comment here about hopefully no Mario to the Dolphins rumors. I think Mario is a college guy, especially the way I think you're going to see a lot of NFL guys come to college just because of the way that it's set up now, where when you're the head coach of a college team, and I think Mario, as we know, is a roster builder, right? He plans this thing out 3-4 years in advance, and you have a lot more control over bringing guys in. Yes, it's not every week like in the NFL, but when you're signing these guys off the waiver wire or you're making a trade here or there, that's just a piece here or there. You have a lot more control. It's very hard to be the GM, as we've seen before. To be the GM and the coach in the NFL is a very, very difficult thing to do. You can essentially be that in college, and I think the way that Mario's wired, I'm never going to say never, and still has to hopefully win a lot here at Miami for that even to be a thing in consideration. But my opinion is that he's a college guy and he's at Miami for the long haul.
That's the other factor here that Miami hasn't had here in a very long time. A guy like Mario, this is his destination. With the way the money in college has changed. Why would you want to go to the NFL and deal with the crap that they have to deal with over there? So long as he has the continuous support of the administration, which he has, and there's going to be they have Now with Joe there, they have stability for a long time. Why would somebody want to flip to the Dolphins, which is an utter disaster, when your passion has always been about the U? Your passion has always been about the Hurricanes. Yeah. Do we need tweaks here and there? Do we would we wish for better facilities? Maybe we would like, something. But overall, when you have that kind of support and when you have that kind of leadership from the top, man, I see Mario here for a long, long time.
I kind of agree with this comment from Martin Quinn. He says, "Call me crazy, but I think Mike McDaniel would make a great college coach with his
Maybe.
personality."
Yeah, maybe.
He'd be like Lane Kiffin. If he had a really good
Just-
booster to buy him players out of the portal, I think he'd be
I
fine.
just think, you know what happened to McDaniel? He just got caught up. He's just gotten caught up in the Miami vibe. If he would have continued with his little nerdy self, he'd probably still be with a little bit more control. But the yellow sneakers, the joggers up to his knees. I mean, what do you try to do here, man? I mean, what do you try to do?
Yeah,
I-
he plays the nerd side, but he
no
likes the
Dolphin.
media.
As you can tell today, I am not feeling any Dolphin love at all, man.
I was so mad watching the trenches on Sunday that I really had to go back and watch the high school commits that we had in the class. Like I was watching Ben Congdon highlights. I was watching Joel Irvin highlights. I was watching Jackson Canwell highlights just to clear my mind. I mean, it's true. I made a post about it on CanesInSight where I posted all those guys. It makes a big difference. Now, Orchid Man, you know this better than most, but I only people that are not on the inside understand this. How much every coach we've ever had has talked about getting high character players, and they have not all gotten high character players. We've seen guys that had questions coming in and then have problems later, right? So we know that they might say they want character guys and then not necessarily abiding by that. This, from what I've seen on the inside, and you're more inside than me, is a very strong emphasis to get high character players and not just talk about it, but actually not go after guys because of character, prioritize guys because of character, and really make it a real part of what they do and not just something they say in a press conference. What can you tell people about how just diligent this staff is, this recruiting department is on character evaluation, how important that is to this team?
When you look at the roster, especially at the beginning when Mario got here to today, it's a completely different roster. And besides the metrics, the character and the culture has completely changed. And I'm gonna tell you, I give a lot of credit to Dennis Smith. Dennis gets a lot of heat on Twitter, and he gets a lot of heat, from a lot of people. But Dennis plays a vital role in identifying these guys and making sure that they are the right fit for the Canes. Mario obviously gives the green light, but they got to get to Mario, and they don't get to Mario by chance. They get to Mario through the staff, and Dennis plays a vital role in that. And I spoke to him right during spring, and then at the beginning of fall ball, and he would tell me, Jose, it's we hit on all the transfer guys. We hit on all of them, and that's rare, because besides being great besides being good players, they also are high character guys, and it's hard to meld a team in 3 and 4 months and having everybody accept their role. It's a challenge for that staff, and my hat's off to all of them, because they are top to bottom. They've done a great job.
They work hard. The details are crazy. With Dennis, obviously we both know him. I try to stay out of it just because I don't want to get bias or anything like that. People criticize him a lot, and he'll self-evaluate when he makes mistakes. But I will say the one thing you can't take away from Dennis, which I don't think gets the publicity because he's not going to publicize it, is if there's no Dennis Smith, there's no Cam Ward. I mean, that people who are on the inside kind of know that. That just doesn't happen without his persistence and the way he stayed on it and the relationships and everything he did. So
Dennis is relentless. He is relentless. Is he perfect? Who is? No one in this world is perfect, but he is as hardworking and as good a person as you're going to find, in that building.
So just going forward, we're getting to USF. You've seen the team through 2 games. Kind of where do you see this? Let's just this week. Where do you see this team? What do you want to see from this team, and where do you see him going here?
One of the things I really want to see is how we control their quarterback. This is going to be a very good test and preparation for Castellanos in 2 weeks or in 3 weeks, right? Both mobile, both quarterbacks that can get out of the pocket. How do we control, Brown? And then what do we learn from this game that we can take it to Florida State in 3 weeks? That's the most important thing that I want to see.
Okay, so you're getting questions here in the chat. Canes Cat Heat 305 says, Orchid Man, don't leave me without giving me some life about the baseball program and our recruiting. I think I could safely say, I don't think it's a secret. You're very close to Coach Arteaga, close to this team. We talked about it last time. You had a very good sense of the team, even when they were in a slump, of what would potentially happen with the turnaround. So you have a good pulse for this squad. The new kids have shown up. I've gotten great reports on how they look physically, both the transfers and the freshmen. I just, the word I got from my guy who scouting background, Adrian Lorenzo. I co-host El Big League Show with him. If you guys are baseball fans, check that out on YouTube. El Big League Show, EL Big League Show. But he's a former MLB exec. He knows this team very well. He saw him 2 years ago when JD first got here. He's seen him now, and he says night and day, body wise, just talent wise, it's kind of like with the football, right? In a shorter time period, just total overhaul of what it looked like 2 years ago to what it looks like now. What are you hearing and seeing with the baseball team?
I haven't been out there yet. I mean, fall ball starts October 8th, so I'll go out there once fall ball starts and hang around a little bit. But from what I'm hearing is very, very big, very, very, athletic. Couple of good freshman pitchers. We're gonna tease it. We're not gonna Malachi Tony it yet, but a couple of good freshman pitchers. Real deal, which we already know Sosa is a real deal bat. Keeping Ogden, not losing him a year early and having that presence in the locker room and in on the team is going to be big. Hearing a lot of good things about Sheehan defensively. So overall, looks like a very promising, spring for college baseball.
Yeah, I'll be out there with you at fall ball. One of my favorite times. I never got to do that before. So I was working the law job full time. So this last year I was able to get out there like during the middle of the day. It's nice and cool. You're sitting there by yourself watching it. That was like the best, watching those fall ball practices. So I'll be out there with you. We talked to Coach Salta Lamacchia yesterday. That interview should be coming out pretty soon. And awesome hire, very impressive. I think the guy's going to bring a lot of big time experience to this operation.
Yeah, we were really short last year on a catching coach, and Salty obviously is gonna bring another element to that staff. That's going to be very helpful for sure.
All right, P, anything for Orchid Man before we let you go? Let him go?
No. I'm just sitting back, listening and enjoying hearing his insights, man.
Yeah, no, you got to take the day off. You're out here. You're making your spa plans. You're checking on you weighted vest. People have been asking about the weighted vest after you got all the compliments on your physique at Duffy's, man. The weighted vest, you let it get your head.
Listen, no, I've been working, man. I've been needing to take a little break on it though.
I know Orchid Man, you already ran like 21.10s this morning, right?
I did not. I did go to the gym, but my wife loves the weighted vest, man. She walks around with a 12-pound like if it's nothing. But she's not well.
Well, any weighted vest sponsors, let Pete know, man, because he's getting a lot of people free money with this promotion. So
I got the dog here.
Hey, so listen, Orchid Man, appreciate you. Wait, real quick before you go, pull up the site. We tell them already, but tell everybody about what you do. People ask, is this just selling orchids? like you have a whole operation when it comes to landscaping, commercial and residential, and taking worries out of people's heads. And
Yeah, we're a full service landscaping company. So we've been around since 2008, and we service pretty much Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, a little bit in the Keys, not too much right now, but pretty much handle grounds maintenance, installation work, irrigation, tree trimming. Those are our main offerings, and you know, give us a call.
yeah, no, I know you've had some great Canes fans reach out to you, and I think the big thing is, at least for me, I'm not. This is your passion, it's not mine. So when things need to get done, like tree relocation, I wouldn't even know where to start. Just these kind of things that you worry about, you take control of it and kind of steer the ship and quarterback the operation, right?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
That's what we want. We need our brain space to focus on Canes football and beating USF on Saturday. Not that we can do anything, but we can still break down every matchup in our head.
I feel good about Saturday. I think I would not be, I would not be shocked if it's a comfortable win on Saturday. I will tell you though, we got to be ready for Florida, because USF's not going to come and sneak up on Miami on Saturday. But if Florida loses to LSU, we cannot think that Florida is going to come in here and lay down. And that's pretty much the bigger trap game than USF. I would not be surprised we kill USF 34-14, 34-10, 41-17. But we need to come ready for Florida.
I love it. The one and only Orchid Man. Thank you, brother. Glad we can see some of that beautiful decor behind you. You got the screen vertical. We're making progress here, man.
We're making progress.
Appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Good seeing you guys.
Always good to visit with the Orchid Man. We got people all over the place here watching this show. I've heard Cambodia. I've heard the East Coast of Australia. Now we got the Miami Fire Station #1 downtown. Hazmat, go Canes. Appreciate you and all you do for the community, HJS and all the boys. Kyle saying, LOL at the Orchid Man, calling the Mighty Gators a trap game. That's just the truth, man. That's the truth. I got a comment. I wasn't planning to talk about these guys, but I got to, because my guy right here, Lex Dixon, is letting me know I went to Islas Canarias and Islas Express before the game on Saturday, man. You're probably totally full and satisfied instead of buying that, stadium food. You were out there actually satisfied at Islas Canarias Express. So what he's saying is there's the classic Islas Canarias store, which has been serving Miami since I was in junior high school. Well, before I was born, really, but I've been going there since high school, right there in Miami, one of the most famous, if not the most famous Cuban restaurant for Cubans out there. And then it has since been adapted to the Cuban Express, which is there in the Dayland Mall Dining Pavilion, which has even like more on the go kind of modern options like Cubaritos. The restaurant there in Miami is very traditional. You feel like you're in Cuba, the old Cuba, not the new one where everything stinks, but you got to feel like you're in the old Cuba. And then this one here in the dining pavilion for guys that are on the go, girls that are on the go, on their way somewhere from the Dayland Mall. Maybe you're just passing through on the metro, you're in the area, quick grab and go, and you're fully satisfied. Plus, you could eat there at the dining pavilion and enjoy yourself. So shout out to Islas Canarias and shout out to Lex for trying both two totally different experiences per Lex. So anyways, shout out.
Go.
Yeah, man. Anything else on your mind, P? I mean, I know you're going to have a wrestler of the week this week for on the Mike Ryan show.
Guess we'll have to see.
All right, man. Well, listen, appreciate everybody joining the show. Remember to like and subscribe. How many people we got on right now?
Almost 1,300 here.
Almost 1,300. Don't forget to go to the Miami Hurricane team store for your shirts. 20% off your first item. Promo code INSIDE20. And shirts in general are 20% off. So you can get 20% off everything. You could buy your first item, buy a hat, and then buy a bunch of shirts for 20% off. You get 20% off everything. They got the classic ones. Look at that. I like this one, this gray one right here with the old logo. I believe for a time this might have been deemed insensitive, but we're back with the shirt, so we're glad to have it back with the logo or with the actual Hurricane. Got some shirts to work out in. I mean, all kinds of different options. Cam Ward, show your support. And you got a lot of stuff for youth. You have a newborn in the family. Hook them up with some of these. Look at this nice fishing shirt here from Colombia. Love this outfit right here. And yeah, man, we're rocking and rolling with the Miami Hurricane Team Store. Insight 20 to get you 20% off. There it is right there. Michael Montalvo beat USF. Packed the rock. Pete, you'll be packing the studio right there for the post game right after. You'll be in position, ready to rock.
Yep.
Look at this. Croqueta King saying Islas is the OG. So the Croqueta King paying respect to the Croqueta Kingdom right there. Croqueta County, Islas Canarias. I'm not sure where his claim comes from. The king, the Croqueta King.
I was gonna say, do we have a John Andrade fraudulent account over here, or what is
He's
this?
paying respects. Our guy Croqueta King is paying respects to the Islas, the OG. So, anyways, Kane Scouts know why you're never at the games, so you could do the post games, and then also you're not banned, but you protected yourself from not. That
was my favorite. That was my favorite old rumor of me when I was an agent, was that I was banned from campus. I was actually like physically banned from the campus.
You were the one every day.
When I was on campus every day, it was a great rumor. But no, and in all seriousness, I can really sit there and watch the game from a more detailed point of view on TV.
And
so to me, a better viewing experience.
We got post game and pregame. We'll do the pregame at the Lick in the Miami Gardens, and then you'll be sitting there for the post game right when it ends, man. Post live reaction. Hopefully,
we'll be starting the licking show at 11 this week, and the licking will open at noon. So get there early, man. Hang out with us before you guys head over to the stadium.
Go Canes.
Go Canes. Hit that like and subscribe.